You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wing Gaming, and something out Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Repeat, Sissel's Pad. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go. Alright. Oh, I'm sure he'll have stronger opinions about you drinking coffee at midnight. Oh, don't even get him started. Sometimes he's even worse than Grant about my health and whatnot. He lets Philip go out in dumb Hot Topic outfit and fight crime, but I can't even go to Gerania as a student. Jinny grumbled under her breath as she stuck the steam wand back into the espresso machine and began heating up her milk. Well, he's not entirely wrong, per se. Oh, please don't tell me you're going to start nagging me about my health, too. You were the only one out of 5 of us that didn't know about my whole health thing. I thought you were going to be cool about it. Well, first of all, it was kind of obvious, and secondly, I promised not to nag you about your health. I grinned and plucked an empty mug off the counter. Instead, I'm going to be a respectable role model by drinking very healthy water during these wee late hours of the night. Jinny shot me a deadpan stare. Oh, this is even worse. Remind me, what part of you can be considered remotely respectable? I flourished my mug dramatically under the sink as I filled it with cool tap water. Well, I am fully hydrated and will probably sleep like a baby tonight. That's got to count for something. I don't want to hear you complaining later when you're tossing and turning and pacing around the room because there's still coffee in your system. You will absolutely get up in the middle of the night because you need to pee. No more than you. Isn't coffee like a natural laxative or something? A diuretic. Yeah, but it's also delicious. I think coffee's a diuretic. At least caffeine is. Jinny suddenly blinked. Adrian? Something just came out of the tap. I grinned and waved my mug in her face with a theatrical flourish. Yeah, it's pristine and healthy water. You should give it a try. No, I'm serious, Adrian. Something just fell out of the tap and landed in your mug. Ha! You can't trick me with your little diversions. I'll show you I have what it takes to be a perfectly respectable role model. And Mrs. Corliss would be proud. Dude, seriously. I brought the mug to my lips and was immediately met with a mouthful of hair. Jinny looked unimpressed as a spray of water erupted from my lips and formed a rainbow in the dim lounge lighting. I love karma. What was that? I don't know. I just saw a dark clump spill out of the tap and into your cup. Is it still in there? And Jinny leaned over my shoulder as we both peered curiously into the half-empty mug. Yeah. Sitting half-submerged in the water was a tiny form of Bradley. She lifted her little head up and gave us a friendly wave. Hello, Wish Granter. It has been a while since we last spoke. I nearly dropped her, and Jinny leaped forward to snatch the cup safely out of the air before it joined the shattered remains of Morse's mug on the floor. Bradley? What are you doing here? And why are you so small? Jinny grinned and wiggled a finger at the tiny Wish's arms. Bradley was barely larger than her hand. The Wish floated in the mug nonchalantly, apparently undisturbed by the ruckus around her. I wish to see how Sissel and Herschel were faring. She turned her hair-covered face towards the two of us quietly. The last we spoke was when you returned from your last timeline almost a week ago. Since then, I had waited in my lake, desperate for news. But I heard nothing. The Wish sank a little deeper into the water. And then one night, out of the blue, I saw Sissel and Herschel fall into the lake and nearly met their ends. I saved them, but I remained ignorant of their fate after they left my waters. I was worried. Jinny exchanged guilty looks. Sorry we haven't kept you posted about the situation. Things got a bit complicated. We're kind of stuck in this house for the time being. I thought as much. That is why tonight I made an effort to find you myself. Wait, so you decided to shrink down and swim through the city's pipes? Why couldn't you just, poof here like all the other wishes? I am inextricably tied to Lake Bradley, the place where I was born. It makes traveling a rather difficult matter. Even now I feel drained of strength from being so far from my home. Bradley swam up and glanced curiously over the mug, taking in her surroundings curiously. And there is such little water here. I didn't want to cause a downpour of rain every time I visited. The skeletal Wish glanced up at us in an almost shy manner. Sissel and Herschel are here, yes? How have they fared after that day at the lake? Oh, they're doing well. Just a little mopey and awkward, but nothing they can't work through. And we've made moves against those thugs who hurt them in Sicilia years ago. With some luck, they might finally be brought to justice. Truly, that is wonderful to hear. Yeah, I held the mug at arm's length and glanced around the room. Are you comfortable in that mug? We could find you something bigger if you want. And, we probably don't want someone accidentally taking a sip or throwing the dishwasher or something. I got you. In one swift motion, Jinny grabbed one of Morse's glass flower vases, dunked his prized roses into the trash, and filled it to the brim with water. I gingerly poured the contents of the mug inside and watched with fascination as Bradley swam around her new enclosure like a weird goldfish. Thank you. It is reassuring to know that Sissel is surrounded by such kind people. I stared at the tiny wish, a stray thought suddenly fluttering in my mind. Hey, Bradley, do you mind if I ask you something personal? Ask away. You're the last dying breath of Cecilia Bradley, and she wished for her son to live a happy, fulfilling life. Does that mean you'll be watching over Sissel forever? Will you ever be fulfilled? As a wish? Bradley tilted her head thoughtfully. Sissel had grown up with every disadvantage, and with the baggage of his family to boot. Once the danger subsides and he is truly happy with his place in life, with loved ones at his side, I believe I will be satisfied. My lips tightened and my gaze drifted to my feet. So, every step we take to help Sissel is like another step closer to your end? Isn't that awful? For a moment, Bradley almost smiled beneath that sea of hair. You truly are a kind one, but please understand. We are not alive in the same sense that you are. Our essence is born from the deepest desire of our wisher, and in a way we are a part of them. And when we are fulfilled, we return to them, content at long last. She gingerly pressed a long skeletal hand to her chest. I was born from a woman long dead. For the many years I've existed, I tried to aid Cecilia's son and lighten his burdens. When the day comes where Sissel's finally happy with his life without the fear of tomorrow, I will be happy as well. And I will return to Cecilia Bradley with the hope that she may rest easy, knowing her son is in good hands. Bradley smiled and reached out over the brim of her face, gently holding my finger in her small hands. You need not fear for me, kind wish granter. Though our time is finite, I am happy to have spent it here all the same. A few long moments passed in silence. I cleared my throat and wiped my eyes, ignoring the comforting hand that Jinny placed on my back. It's great to hear. You said you came all this way to see Sissel, right? He's right upstairs. Do you want us to give you a little tour of where he's staying? Bradley sank back into her vase and nodded. That sounds lovely. I gently lifted the glass vase in my hands and made my way up to the apartment with Jinny at my side, taking care to not spill anything. It was a short walk, but quiet and subdued. I wasn't quite sure what I was feeling at that moment. Sad? Apprehensive? Everything just felt bittersweet. I didn't like it. What is it? I shot Jinny a forced grin. I did it. I got you upstairs without your coffee. Jinny gave me a deadpan stare. If you weren't carrying that vase, you'd be tumbling down the stairs right now. I laughed, and the two of us bickered the rest of the way to the living room. It was nice to have something to fill the silence. We returned to the apartment to find the Scrabble game abandoned, but I couldn't help but notice a correctly spelled potatoes lying on the living room table. Everyone had retreated to the kitchen where Herschel was whipping up a big breakfast for dinner. He and Sissel were currently in the middle of an intense argument over the best way to flip pancakes. Dude, quit it with the fancy shit. You could just flip it with a spatula. Listen, sis, cooking's all about presentation. Herschel grabbed the saucepan and gave it a flourishing shake. His pancakes sailed gracefully over their heads and nearly touched the ceiling before landing back onto the pan with a thump. See? Give it a try. The secret is to lead with your hips. The pancake landed back on the same side. You really have to flip it again. That's not the point. It's about the showmanship. Listen, kid, I'm trying to give you tips on how to impress your man. One of these days, Adrian's going to see you flip those cakes and think, wow, what else can those hips do? And he'll be grateful. I too have watched my fiancé flip pancakes and thought, what else can those hips do? It really works! Sissel crossed his arms stubbornly, but there was a pink flush across his face. You're giving me dating advice? Aren't you still single? Herschel spluttered and nearly dropped his saucepan. Yeah. Yeesh, way to kick a guy while he's down. I just haven't had the time to date. You know, adult life is real busy. Sissel squinted at him, utterly unimpressed. You know, Moore said you were faking your accent to impress the ladies. I didn't believe him at first, but then I noticed that your accent kind of faded ever since the shitstorm started. Desperate much? I... That man is a liar. I'm pretty damn suave with the ladies when I want to be, and I helped you set up there and helped set you up with Adrian after you couldn't stop gushing about him, didn't I? Cecil smirked and twirled his spatula dramatically in his hands before flipping his pancake. First of all, that was 90% Jinny and the other's fault, and you know it. Secondly, Adrian ain't a girl. Third, I always figured you'd be more popular with the guys, honestly. Herschel coughed and scratched his head awkwardly. Well, I don't know. I never really got to explore much. You know, after your mother passed, I spent the rest of my time looking for you. Cecil's face softened as he gently served his perfectly cooked pancake onto Herschel's plate. After this whole mess is over, we're gonna get you a nice date. And a speech therapist. Herschel's lips stretched into an amused smirk. Oh, and you're suddenly the dating expert, huh? Which one of us has a boyfriend? Your first date ended with you two burning down a 5-star restaurant and evacuating the whole neighborhood. The conversation soon descended into another bout of good-natured squabbling. Despite the non-stop arguing, there was a genuine happy smile across both their faces as they swung their spatulas at each other like swords. I glanced down at the vase in my arms to see Bradley watching the scene fondly. A small smile stretched across my face as I followed her gaze. It's like you've got nothing to worry about. Bradley nodded quietly, transfixed by the sight of her family laughing together for the first time in a long while. This may be a bit self-indulgent, but might I stay for a little longer? I smiled softly. You can stay as long as you'd like. Outside the robin's nest, in a shaded street corner just barely out of sight, a small black car stood quietly in waiting. Two figures sat inside and studied the heavily guarded building from afar, silently counting every hidden camera, every bouncer, bodyguard, and every possible point of entry. The shrewd thug glowered through the windshield, his grip tightening on the single pistol left in their possession. Bro, this place looks pretty damn secure. Do you think we can still pull this off? We have to. Frankly, we're out of options. Day 15. Noble suffering. Is it a noble that is suffering, or is it like a noble kind of suffering? The sky was still dark, with the barest sliver of morning light peeking through the dingy apartment windows as I blinked myself awake. Dingy apartment windows, not dingy. Dingy. No, dingy. It's dingy. A dinghy is a small boat. Beside me, Cecil mumbled something under his breath and threw his arm over my abdomen, pulling me closer. He felt warm and unspeakably comfy. I buried my face into his chest and sighed. It was probably good boyfriend etiquette to avoid waking him at the dead of night like this. I squeezed my eyes shut and tried to will myself back to sleep, but sleep did not come. A strange restlessness weighed over me as I snuggled back against Cecil. After another few rounds of tossing and turning, I sighed and sat up, rubbing my eyes with a yawn. It looked like Owen and Philip were missing from their bed. Maybe they were having another late-night tea session. I gently untangled myself from Cecil's grabby arms, pulled on some clothes, and headed out into the living room. Maybe a hot drink will ease me back to sleep. As I stumbled my way into the living room, Bradley was still floating in her flower vase, quiet and unmoving. Did Wishes even sleep? Maybe she was just tired from being away from the lake. It's probably best to leave her alone. I made my way across the room, stifling another yawn. Alright, y'all, I'm actually going to pause it right there. I am tired, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and head to bed. Thank y'all so much for watching. I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!